And thank you, Erica, for doing that because I would have forgot. He is our regional operating principal, and his name is Matt Erdman. He will be jumping on shortly. He just had a meeting with his daughter's college, pre-college, something like that going on. So he'll be here soon. We have a great week of content for you. One of them I get a really big kick out of, so we're going to have to share that with you in a little bit. Erica, anything else we need to add before Matt gets on?
Not that I'm aware.
All right. Well, we're gonna wait for him to get on, and I guess how many of you are in school vacation week this week? Ours in Rhode Island was last week, so my office was dead. And it was a good week for that because we had summer like weather. So Central Mass, you are in a week off. You have a week off for your school vacations? Well, this is a great opportunity for you to get in front of people because guess who else is on vacation? All of the teachers and all of the students and parents usually take this week off as well. So use that to your advantage. I know that in the productivity and MOFR section of our, we call this handout, build out, this thing. It says to go back to basics and do 5 activities, 5 days a week by using some MOFRs and asking questions and knowing your numbers in your area. So let me ask this question. I am stalling a little bit, but I want to know kind of who's on the call and who has information about their market. Anybody from Massachusetts on here know how many single family homes are active in your area? Just unmute yourself or throw it in the chat. How many single family homes do you have? Erica, would you mind pulling the Rhode Island? How many? How about Connecticut? Anybody from Connecticut on here? I'd love to hear some inventory numbers. New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont. You guys here? Does anybody know their numbers? When I looked last week in Rhode Island, we were under 800. Under 800 single family properties active in the entire state. I know you're saying Rhode Island, it's the smallest state out there, but having under 800 single family properties available is very small. So our opportunity right now is to get market share and talk to people who are interested in learning more about their equity in their home. Barbara, thank you. 3,362 in all of Massachusetts. Now, listen, I understand there's not on MLS, but that is still low. Would you guys agree? In all of Massachusetts, 200 in the Hampton County. Ray, are you getting listings right now, or is it hard? Where are you, Ray? 679 in Rhode Island. That number is just going down. So our opportunity, especially if you are in a market where you have a school week going on, use this time to go talk to people because they're around. They're usually staycationing in the area. Hey, Matt Erdman, welcome to the call.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
We're just talking a little numbers inventory wise because Rhode Island has, I'm sure Connecticut as well. We have very just low listing numbers right now.
Yeah, we're averaging between 0.9 and 1.1 months worth of inventory in most towns, which is absurd. For perspective, for anyone who doesn't know or isn't sure what's normal, 6 months is considered balance. 6 months worth of inventory is a balance, not a buyer, not a seller, perfectly balanced market. So having less than a month's worth of inventory, which most of us are experiencing, is literally unheard of.
So Matt, do you see, I know we're going to talk about a different topic, but do you see the inventory increasing dramatically in the next few months?
Here's what I would say. Number one, nobody has a crystal ball, myself included. Number two, I'm always of the mindset that I would rather assume the worst and create a plan that is going to allow me to experience the best case scenario, i.e. if it doesn't get better, what do I have to do? If the inventory stays the way it is, what do I have to do to make sure I have my unfair share of that inventory, such that if it doesn't go up, I'm still doing really well. And if it does, I do even better. So I think that's the mindset you have to have. However, again, no magic, no crystal ball. I do believe we're going to see interest rates drop. I do believe that interest rates are one of the things that is bottlenecking listings. I don't think it's going to be a drastic impact. I think rates will come down a little. I think when rates come down a little, right? Because one of the challenges you have is the vast majority of people who own their home today might be sitting in a sub 3% mortgage. Now, if I look up and go, you know what? This isn't really the perfect house for me anymore. My family has grown or shrunk or whatever the case may be. And I think maybe now's a good time to move. However, now I'm looking at doubling my interest rate when I make that move. That obviously becomes a big factor on whether or not I'm going to choose to put my home on the market and make that adjustment to a bigger or smaller house, or am I just going to stay where I am for right now? So I think a couple of things need to happen as interest rates tick down a little bit. I think that will help to some degree. I also think as consumers get used to the fact, right, those sub 3% mortgages were completely abnormal, never happened in the history of real estate, period. And most people say it will never happen again in our lifetime. So there's got to be a normalizing of the rates, but then we got to wait for the consumers to get comfortable that this is actually the norm, right? I'm pretty sure if you look back over 30 years, or it might be a 38-year stretch, I believe the average mortgage rate is like 7.6 or 7.8 over there. I believe it's a 38-year period, right? So if you're actually aware of that, then you look at today's rates and you say, okay, they're higher than 3%, yet they're not actually crazy at all. However, we have very short-term memory when it comes to things like that. So short answer is I think we will see a slight increase in inventory as those things happen. Yet I don't think there is a short-term solution that is going to cause inventory to go back to normal in the near future.
So I guess the answer to that is just talk to as many people as you can, because in that, in having conversations, you're going to find the ones that put their hand up and say, I'm in, regardless of that rate, I need to move for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right.
And if I could add one other caveat to that,
Yes.
I would look at it. There's certain things you always do. Like, well, a lot of times we talk about the timeless and timely. There's certain things when it comes to growing your business that are timeless. Sphere of influence. The people who already know you, like you, and trust you, that is always the first place you go for business. Nurture those relationships, grow those relationships. So if you think of your business as a stool that needs 3 legs, that's always one of the 3 legs. Then the question is just, what are my other 2 to 3 legs, right? Because in order for a stool to be stable, you need at least 3, if not 4 legs, right? So one of them is always sphere of influence. That never goes away. That is timeless. The other question becomes, what are my additional legs? I would argue it's smart right now to think about who are the need to sell, not want to sell buyers or sellers, right? Who are the individuals who are going to be moving not by choice, but because of circumstances? I would argue that's a really good place to be fishing right now. Another really good group to be looking at is folks at the higher end of the market who have been in their homes for a long time. There is a lot of those people who are cashing out. They're looking up and saying, okay, I don't think my home is ever going to be worth more than what it is today. And I'm never going to need this size of a house or a bigger house at any point in my life going forward, right? They're in the downsize phase. Value of their home is as great as it's arguably ever going to be. A lot of those folks are cashing out. So I think that's also a niche.
Yeah, and a lot of times what we're seeing right now is that they're using the full cash to buy a home, meaning they're not getting the mortgage because they don't want to spend the interest rate right now. They might refinance it later and get some cash back from that. But so I think that's a great point to make sure we're focusing on these 3 types. What are the 3 again? SOI, the need to sell, right? The need to move.
Need to, not want to.
And then the higher end.
Yep.
Better.
Higher end, been in the home for a long time. So they're kind of at the end of their buying cycle.
Yeah.
Right? Like as we grow up, we go through cycles where we're buying more stuff. And then we
Right.
get to a point where we actually start buying less stuff, right? We sell off the stuff and we sort of settle in. That's kind of like the last stage of our life. There's a lot of people with a ton of equity right now who are at that stage. It's actually the largest demographic in the United States is actually at that age right now. So I think that's a honeypot to focus on.
Very good point. Very good point. All right. So Matt, can we dive into what we had discussed earlier today?
Yeah, so I kind of made some notes. So I literally, today's my first day back from vacation. I pulled up my calendar and I was like, oh, I'm on the call today. So I texted Jen, like, anything specific you want me to focus on. One of the things, so what Jen had brought up was maybe talking about finances. I think the reason she brought that up is probably pretty obvious. When the market is challenging, it's even more important that we pay close attention to our finances, personally and professionally, right? There's that old saying, at least I think it's an old saying. Last couple of times I've said it, everybody giggled and said they never heard it before. Yet there is a saying that when the tide goes out, you find out who's been swimming with no trunks on. That's kind of what happens when the economy turns. Really good times cover up lots of mistakes, right? Then when the market shifts, all of a sudden, it exposes our weaknesses. It exposes the holes in our personal finances and our business finances, all those things. However, I want to kind of break it up into three categories. I think these are the three most important things to be focused on really at any point in time in order to be successful in business, and especially now, right? Because again, when times get challenging, it exposes the errors in our ways. It exposes our bad habits. It exposes the holes in our boat. So I think at any point in time, and especially now, your three most important resources are knowledge, time, and capital. So knowledge, time, and capital. Right? Under knowledge, I just made some quick notes for the call. Number one, what are your most important activities? In business, you need to know what are the activities that I do that drive the business forward. So number one, what are my most important activities? Number two, those are the most important activities that drive my success. Number two, what's different and what's the same, right? So if you've been in the business for a while, sometimes you got to look up and you go, okay, things have changed. What's different and what's the same, right? Some people have heard me tell the story when I first started in real estate. I caught the tail end of the really good market. I was doing the things I was told to do because that's kind of just what I do. If someone tells me this is how you do it, I go, okay. And I just try to go do that thing. So that caused, right, I was focused on generating listings. And my second year in the business, what I found was I was going on more listing appointments than I had ever gone on before because I was doing the activities. However, I was not getting all the listings. And it wasn't because they were listing with somebody else. It's because they weren't listing at all. Reason being, market had shifted. Suddenly I went from delivering good news to delivering bad news. Their home was worth less than they thought, and in many cases, less than what they owed on the house. So I looked up and said, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. I got the results I was supposed to get, which is listing appointments. However, those listing appointments aren't converting to listings at the same rate. That caused me to stop and say, okay, what's the same and what's different? What's the same? I still need to do the activities to generate the listings because he or she who controls the listings controls the market. However, I have to look at how to get listings differently. It was very similar for different reasons than what we're experiencing today, need to sell, not want to sell. This was being driven by a crash in the banking industry and bad lending practices, right? So I had to make a list of other lead sources that I was going to focus on other than what was my primary at the time, which was sphere of influence, expireds, and for sale by owners. That's really where I started my career. Then later I added business to business. So anyways, so what's the same and what's different? In that scenario, I just adjusted some of who I was marketing to. I still did the other stuff, but I would take a day each month to say, okay, I'm going to focus on business to business relationships. Who are people that I can get in a relationship with, that I can help them grow their business and they can refer me multiple clients a year. And then I proactively went out and built those relationships. At that time, I went after REO accounts, short sales. That was the market of the moment. So again, what's the same and what's different? What do I know and what do I need to go learn? Number one, it's important to recognize what you know. All of us know more than we think we know. So what do I know and what do I need to go learn? In my case, using that as the scenario, I didn't know anything about short sales. It was a brand new thing. Nobody knew short sales. Most people didn't even know what they were. I had to go learn how to do them because I saw the market coming. Same with bank. I never did REO properties, which are bank-owned foreclosure properties. I had to go learn how to do that, right? So what did I know? I knew the market was different and I had to go after business differently. What did I have to learn? I had to learn how to do short sales and I had to learn how to do REOs, right? That's not the cause of this market, so it's different. Yet the question is, what is the same? What do I know? What do I need to go learn? And then what's getting in my way? 9 times out of 10, the answer is you or me, right? That's usually what gets in our way more than anything is ourselves. So secondly is time. For the folks who have been with KW for a long time, hopefully you've read the MREA. If you have not, you should read the MREA. One of the models that they talk about is big rocks. So when it comes to time, it's how do you actually manage yourself, right? So in the MRA, they give you a model where you put the big rocks in your calendar first, and then you build around that. So what that looks like typically is when you build out your schedule, your calendar, you start out with your personal vacations and your personal time, right? Secondly, you put in all your non-negotiables and annual events, right? So for people like me and Jen and Erica, we have certain things we have to go to KWRI. Those are scheduled for us. We put those things in our calendar because we don't control them and we have to be there. We also want to be there, yet we have to be there. Same could be true for you if you're planning on going to mega camp, family reunion, those things you don't control, you put those in your calendar. So vacation time, family time, non-negotiables, then you put in your top 20% activities, right? 20% of what we do generates 80% of our results. So what are those top 20? In our business, it's actually really simple. It's lead generation time, listing appointments, and buyer consultations. Those are the 3 things that go in your calendar next. When am I going to do those things? And then I would argue after that, build out your morning routine. What is it that you do every morning when you wake up such that it sets you up to have a really, really good day? Once you put those things in your calendar, everything else goes in around them. And the third thing I would say around that, or the second thing, is once you build the calendar, it's aligning the world so that it flows with you instead of against you. Right. So there's small examples of how you do that. You have to protect that calendar. Let people you know that you work with and your family and your clients know how you operate. What is your schedule? How do you operate so that they start to follow you rather than push against that calendar that you've created? Right. Sometimes you'll call an agent and you'll get a voicemail that says, "This is Matt Erdman. Today is XYZ date. I'll be returning calls from 11 to 12 and 4 to 5. Please leave a message. I will call you back during one of those times." That is aligning the world so that it flows with you instead of against you. Setting expectations so the world knows what to expect from you. That allows you to actually follow the calendar you build. And then third with time is just do it. Like the hardest part of it is you can build the perfect calendar. Human nature is we wake up every day and immediately start having a negotiation conversation in our head. I'm going to get up and I'm going to work out at 6 o'clock. And then the alarm goes off at 6 and we start going, well, 6:15 will be just as good. Well, 6:30 will work too, right? We start negotiating. Stop negotiating, build a calendar that's going to move you from where you are to where you want to be, and stop negotiating. Get up and follow the calendar, right? And then capital. Capital, I think there's a couple of things. Number one, personally, professionally, sounds simple. It's simple, not easy. You need to spend less than you make. And then over time, start to invest the difference. That is the definition of wealth building, as simple as it sounds. Spend less than you make and invest the difference. Most people actually spend more than they make and in turn pay a lot of interest, which is the opposite of wealth building. So take a look at your own habits. Are you spending more than you make and paying a lot of interest? Or are you spending less than you make, investing the money and earning a return, right? So that's step one. Step two in your business, know your KPIs. So number one, profit as a percent of GCI. GCI is your total commission income. For every dollar I bring in commission after I pay bills, what's left? I think that's an important number to know because then you can decide what you want to make and work backwards as to what you actually have to do in order to net that amount of income. So I think that's a really important KPI. Expenses as a percent of company of GCI, gross commission income, which again, if you go back to the MREA, it's a 30-30-40 model. For every dollar you make theoretically, running a high level business, you're going to net 40 cents. You can change that to thousands or hundreds of thousands to make it make more sense for you, but it's a 30-30-40 model. 30% typically goes to cost of sale, i.e. split with your market center and or your team members, 30% to expenses, 40% net. If you are operating as an individual agent, you can operate at a much higher profit margin than that, especially because you're with a company that has a cap model, right? So if you do more than the amount of volume necessary to cap, your total cost of sale, which is your contribution to the brokerage, is capped out at whatever your market center cap is. After that, that expense goes away. So you can actually, as an individual, operate at a much higher margin than that. As you start to bring leverage into your world and hire people and build a team and do those things, you start to do more business, but your margin becomes smaller. That is the nature of scaling a business. Doesn't mean you make less money, but you make a smaller piece of a bigger pie. So know those expense ratios. And there's an exercise that your leadership can walk you through, the listings needed exercise. How many listings do I need to get on a monthly basis in order to hit my financial goal? And everything flows off of that. And then lastly, as an agent, for me, the metric that I really tracked closely was current pendings, right? I didn't like to focus a ton on closed sales because in my mind, that was yesterday's success. And if I get busy celebrating that, all of a sudden I look up and I don't have new closings. So for me as an active agent, I like to focus on how many pendings did I need in the pipeline at all times in order to make sure I landed where I wanted to land. And that kept me focused on the now rather than the past. So I think those are the three biggest things: knowledge, time, and capital, right? When you master those things, I think those are the difference between people who succeed at a high level and accomplish seemingly more than is possible with the same 24 hours that everybody else has available. Thoughts, questions? Helpful? There was a lot.
That was a lot, and it was really good. So I would love for everybody to kind of just take a couple of seconds here and ask Matt any questions you have. He just laid out a whole bunch for us to say in production and to thrive through any kind of market that is happening. So what questions do you have for Matt that maybe you might have missed or something he could answer for you, a clarifying question? Anything?
Can't say nothing. Then I feel like I just vomited for 20 minutes and there was no value for you guys. You got to say something.
Ray said it was very helpful. Who else? You could come off mute or put it in the chat. Everybody's just processing that. It was really good.
I'll share. I mean, I loved everything that you said, and I think kind of just as I'm processing, just the visual of having, 2 feet in the circle as opposed to 1 foot out, 1 foot in, being partially committed to what we're supposed to do versus being fully committed. And I think there's just a very different energy in how we approach our day when we make that decision early on.
Yeah, love that.
Thank you, Melanie.
And by the way, if you only took one thing away from all of that, I would argue it's the time piece. When you actually sit down and figure out what's most important and create your calendar around it and then commit to not negotiate, get up and do that stuff, you will actually find you have more free time, less stress, and you will accomplish significantly more than you ever have in your life. Most of us get up and we let the day pull us all over the place. When you wake up and you have a calendar built that gets you from where you are to where you want to be, you can put the blinders on and just go. And all that noise that the world likes to throw at us, you have set times to deal with the noise. Other than that, that crap's muted. Like I have a half-hour slot, an hour slot here and here for the noise. Other than that, that crap's muted and I'm focused. Like that's when you will succeed at a high level and have way more fun and way less stress. All right, give me at least one more. One more thing that you got out of it.
He'll make it get awkward, guys. So we'll wait. I do want to share the content. So one more real quick.
You said 20 minutes.
I know I did.
Okay.
We started about 6 minutes late.
Oh, my bad.
Anyone?
Just
It's-
adding again to the time piece, just as a team, it's so easy to start your day and it just goes. All of a sudden you have current clients, they have questions, they have issues, you have showings, appointments, you gotta make arrangements for all those things. But we found that we color coded our calendar and put in every start of every day is green, and it's starting with lead generation. It's, again, I know you hear it over and over and over again, but to actually stop and go back and be like, wait, we didn't do that so well yesterday. We gotta do better today. We are owed time from yesterday because yesterday went awry. So today we're gonna need to get back on track. So it is so important.
Love it.
Thank you, Kim.
Awesome. I'm gonna mute now.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. Please stay on because we have some good stuff to share with you this week. And then also stay on, guys, because we are giving away a prize at the end of the call and you have to be here to win. So make sure you're here to win. And Erica, would you mind sharing the screen so we could go over this week's content?
I will, but I don't have the content.
Okay, I will take it.
Apologize. I thought you were sharing it and I was here for moral support and other things. So I can find it unless you have it right in front of you.
Get it. We'll get it. All right. Here it is. So this week, we have 3 lovely posts, and that is the 13th. That's not it. Here it is right here. The first one, April 18th, with a little creativity and persistence, you can make your dreams of homeownership a reality, even without a large down payment. So the whole point of this post is to show your sphere, your database, your social media, the fear versus fact, because so many times when we're out there in social media, they hear a story that's not actually true. Would you agree, Matt? Sometimes social media isn't accurate. So this post is a great post to get out there and show them the facts of how a large down payment for a house isn't really always necessary. There are options for every single buyer out there. So this is a great post for anybody in your world. Wednesday's post, I didn't know this yet. Wednesday is garlic day. Matt, are you a garlic fan or are you not a garlic fan?
I love garlic.
Yeah, so I grew up with like garlic, I think, I don't know, in my room. It was everywhere. It was everywhere. So garlic day, I did not know about, and I feel guilty not knowing that there was a garlic day, but here it is, Wednesday, the 19th. Happy garlic day. Brooke wanted me to mention, keep an eye on her hashtags that she put, because she put a couple of funny ones as she usually does. She's just not here this week to snort at her own hashtags, Matt. Usually every week when she reads her hashtags, she does a little snort.
Well, I can imagine. I know the snort.
Yeah. So here's a great little post about garlic day. Use this to your advantage. Anytime somebody comments, comment back. This is a good opportunity. If you want to do a pop by, go bring some garlic bulbs to your sphere. It's a great opportunity to use this in your world. All right, and the last one, this one made me laugh a little bit because Brooke and I were talking about this. The two of us have 2 separate different trunks. Mine has 0 in it. Hers is completely full. That's where this came from. The battle of the vehicle trunks begins. So I'd love to see in the chat. Let's hear it. Who has a clean trunk and who has the one that has just everything in it? Because just in case you need that, I don't know. I see, the window scraper for winter, Matt, I take those out as soon as I can. Like, it's out of my car as soon as, because I don't need it.
Great.
People leave those in all the time. That's okay. Let's see. Empty. Doreen, Sarah, clean. Louise, you got it clean, or no, you are full. Hey, listen, there's no judgment, no energy around how your trunk looks. It's just a fun conversation starter. Get it going on your social media. Let's see, I'm going camping.
Somebody just said I could go camping with everything that's in my trunk.
Abigail, that's awesome. You know what? There's like a game show for something like that, isn't there? Or wasn't there? Like, if you show up at the studio, it's like, what's in your purse or something? And if you have like, yeah, you would probably win the prize for that, Abigail. I don't know, but just from that comment. All right. I think that's all we have for this week. We will make sure that we get these in the Facebook group, and you will also get an email with all of this content. So don't worry, we are going to share all of this with you. I know a lot of times we get asked that, where is it? It's going to be in an email very shortly. So keep an eye out for that. And also it's in our Facebook group. If you are not a part of that Facebook group, Erica, could you do a quick search and get that Facebook group for me and drop that in the chat? We would love for you to be a part of that. There is every single one of our growth calls in there, and it's 3 years in the making. So even if you don't want to use this week's content, we have years of content for you to use. Make your own, start conversations on social media, and be top of mind. All right, Matt, we are 1 minute over. What is one thing you could share with us today that you think is gold in everybody's business that they should do?
Just wake up and do the thing you know you need to do to create the result that you want.
One thing. All
One
right. Well, I have a winner for today. I picked it while Matt was talking and giving you guys just amazing content. And our winner is Jerry Sims. I saw Jerry on earlier. I'm not sure if he's still here. Is he? Jerry, you good? Your phone dropped earlier. I was worried for you. You're okay?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Appreciate it very
Congratulations.
much.
You just won a first-time home buyer book from the region. So we will get that out to you. If you could just let me know what market center you're in.
Leading Edge in Lincoln.
All right, you got it. We'll get that book right out to you, Jerry. Congratulations. There will not be a tech 30-minute call after this. Brooke is on vacation this week. So this is the end of the call, and we appreciate all of you being on here. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.